What's up guys, and welcome to another episode of The Block is Hot. If you watch my channel update video, you'll know that I am going to do a new video series every single Saturday called Market Updates. In this market update video, I'm just going to be quickly going over the overall crypto world, and then I'm also going to be going over CNFTs in particular. So I'm going to explain to you guys what I'm looking at, different price predictions, what CNFTs did very well this week, what do I think good purchase and sell prices are, just all that sort of stuff. And it's going to be on every single Saturday, or hopefully every single Saturday. But without further ado, let's take a look. The crypto market right now is kind of in shambles, guys. It has been going all over the place. It's going up, it's going down, it's breaking this resistance, it's breaking this support, whatever the case is, it's all over the place. And I've honestly gotten to the point personally where I just don't care where the price is at. Like, think about it this way, guys. We're stressing out when Bitcoin goes from 43K to 40K. But if you think about it, in 2017's bull run, we peaked at 19K. So even if you were the worst trader in the world and the most unlucky person in the world and bought in at 19K, you'd still be at over a double up in 4 years, which is going to be an outperformance of the entire market, right? Like the S&P 500 index isn't going to give you those level of returns. So it's kind of interesting. Like, we can freak out about these different price fluctuations, but the truth is, guys, if you have that long-term vision and that long-term mindset, this is going to be not 50,000, 500,000, a million of Bitcoin in the future. Like, maybe in the next 5-10 years, this could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars per Bitcoin. So we have to be like long-term mindset on these things, but we also have to realize that this is going to cause different price changes in the NFT world as well in the short term. Now, we're at some pretty big support levels, right? So a lot of analysts that I was looking at, they were saying that we really don't want to break below 38K again, because then we could drop down all the way to 32K again. But one thing that is interesting, guys, is usually when the crypto market is going down, usually there's more money going into NFTs. I'm not necessarily sure why this psychology happens, but it's honestly a good thing as far as NFTs go when the market is kind of in this in-between sideways trading. Because if you think about it, like, let's say we're trading between 32 and 44,000 in Bitcoin, and we're just staying in that range. Well, if people are very bullish on crypto, they're going to be like, I just want to hold crypto and get these gains because it's going to go up a lot, right? But when we're kind of trading in this sideways territory, people are like, hey, I might be able to make more money getting into NFTs, or I might be able to make more money flipping NFTs. So that's why I'm guessing people get into NFTs more. But being in this sideways trading is actually, in my opinion, a good thing as far as the CNFT world. So what exactly is happening in the CNFT world right now? And I want to emphasize, guys, I am looking at the 1 week time period. I'm not looking further than that. The whole reason behind this is because I'm trying to make this every single week to give you guys a weekly update. So I'm not going to look too far back. But the major thing that happened this week is that Pavia dropped 40,000 more plots of land, which they had 60,000 plots, so they added 66% more supply. Now, one thing I called out on Twitter was that because they're adding 66% more supply, if you times that by the 600 floor that they had, it got to a 380 to 400 ADA range as far as the pieces of land. So that is personally where I said would be a good buy price, or where I thought the floor would be. Now, we're slightly below that. We're heading into this 360 range because a lot of people are freaking out about the market and they are taking some profits off the table. Like, literally, if you got into this pre-sale, you were able to get in at 90 ADA a pop, and you were able to buy, I believe, 9 of these. So what a huge dub if you got in. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get in, but I know when I shouted it out on Twitter that there were a couple of people out there that followed that were actually able to get in at that price, which is awesome. I personally bought about 6 or 7 pieces of land at this price range, and I actually think as a long-term investment, this is going to be a no-brainer. Think about it. Pavia is the largest metaverse project on Cardano, and it could do very similarly in the future to something like Decentraland or Sandbox as more people pick up on this ecosystem. Now, why is this such a good price? Well, you just introduced 66, 67% more land. You had a bunch of people get that 9 plots at 90 ADA a pop, right? So they're all taking profit. Like, there is just never going to be a point like this where there is this much supply coming in. There will never be more supply added. So it's only going to go up from here, because as demand goes up and supply stays the same, price is going to go up. And we know supply is never going to go up again. And we can assume that demand is going to go up as, as the future progresses. So if you own some of these Pavia spots, now would be the worst time possible to sell it, in my opinion. You're much better off actually buying at this point. Like I said, I was able to buy some of these, and I think in the future, these will do really well. How low will these go? Well, it just depends what happens in the crypto market and in the NFT world, but I think this is a pretty no-brainer investment as far as a long-term prospect goes. Next project I want to bring up here is Boss Cat. So Boss Cat Rocket Club, this has been the big news that is going on so far in the ecosystem, right? They just dropped this Boss Planet land, and it is currently going for $540, $550. Do not buy, I'm stressing right now, do not buy it at this price. If you have land right now in your wallet and you are one of the lucky people to get this early, I highly recommend selling this right now. Here's why. There's only 2,200 owners of this, and they are slowly trickling supply, and they haven't even done the public sale yet. There is going to be 36,000 of these plots of land. This is going to drop significantly. My price target is probably anywhere from the 200 to 300 ADA range. Now, I had brought up in my recent video about hype and FOMO and how to not fall into that I think that all Boss Cat stuff is going to fall in this short term, just because everyone who was part of this whitelist and pre-sale was able to get this land. There is going to be a lot of selling pressure, and you really have to wait until we see the floor on this. Now, with selling pressure comes an amazing opportunity for people like me and you that are listening in on this, that aren't going to FOMO and aren't going to freak out and are really going to use our heads here. We know this stuff is going to drop as more supply comes in. Why would you buy right now if there's still 36,000 plots of land? Wait until all the pieces of land are out there and everyone starts undercutting each other. In my Hype FOMO video, I literally said that Boss Cat Rocket Parts and Boss Rocket Club were going to drop in the week significantly. These parts were literally 6,300 ADA about a week ago when I made the video, and they're already down to 4,100 ADA. And the cats, which were, 2,600 ADA at the time, are now down to about 2,150 ADA. Now, here's what I would do in this situation. I think that these prices are actually going to continue to go lower. I think that there was just so much hype build up with this, and so many people own these cats and own these parts to get into that land. And there is now going to be a ton of land that is pumped into the ecosystem. They were only supposed to do about 13,000 plots, and then they instead did 35,000 plots. And you're going to have a lot of their investors that had all those plots. You're going to have a lot of them just undercutting and taking profit, right? So what I would do here is I would take a step back. If you're holding still these Boss Cats and parts, do not sell. Your selling opportunity was before this 213 drop with the Boss Planet, which I had also said in the Hype FOMO video. If you're in, you're going to want to hold. Now, what do I think is going to happen to these prices? And this is just a prediction. I really do think these parts could go as low as 3K. I think these cats are either going to stick at a 2K floor, or they might even drop down to about 1,600 to 1,800 ADA range. And I think there's going to be an incredible opportunity to do a long-term buy with this. I personally like what they're doing. They have a ton of utility. They have a lot of big stuff coming up. And if we can really see those parts drop another 1,000 ADA down to 3,000, and if we can see these cats get to that 1,600 ADA range, then I'm going to be buying a significant amount more of these, because I know in the long term they'll do well. Probably what I'll try to do is I'll probably try to see if I can build a rocket for super cheap. So if everyone's undercutting parts and I can somehow make a rocket for like 9 to 11,000 ADA, then I'm probably going to build another rocket. And I think as like a long-term investment, that's going to be pretty good. And I think that if we can get between that 200 to 300 ADA range for Boss Planet, like I'm going to wait to see where the floor is and where in track volume and stuff. But if we can see that 200 to 300 ADA price, then I'll be probably buying up a bunch of Boss Planet land as well, just because I think that the rest of the supply is going to be trickled over 5 years. And I think demand of it is going to grow a lot. And I think the team is really going to deliver on a lot of stuff they say. So I think as a long-term investment, it'll be a good play if we can get in at these good prices and capitalize on the panic, right? The next project on my list is Deadpxlz here. So Deadpxlz has been blowing up, especially this past month, and has a 2,500 ADA floor now. They pretty much 3x'd within the past month and a half, and there were a couple reasons why. One, RatsDAO, which I just made a video about, has a ton of influence, and they had bought 28 of these, which just caused a huge sweep of the floor. And then you had so many people in the DAO and just people tracking volume and people fearing of missing out buying this, and it just pumped up the price and it went crazy. Now, the whole reason that I hadn't included these in my top list, even though this is an incredible blue chip project, is simply because I think that the price is too high right now. It's too high. Look at the chart. I mean, and if we look at the 30 days here, it has gone stupid. I mean, the average sale price on the 20th, which was a month ago, was only $723, and the floor price on the 20th of January, guys, was $680. So within a month, we've had a 3x. Now, I know they released a roadmap. I know they announced their utility. I know that the RatsDAO bought 28, and now they're at like 52. I know that RatsDAO is probably not going to be selling those and holding those for the long term. But I personally think that whenever you have a 3x within a month, it is not sustainable. I could be completely wrong and these could just keep going crazy, but I personally think that we are going to see a pullback. And if we do see a pullback down to 2,000 or even 1,500 potentially, I don't think 1,500, but down to 2,000 potentially, then I might buy a couple as a long-term investment because their roadmap is very ambitious and I like what they're doing. But right now, I just think it's very hot, and I think a lot of people are kind of like chasing gains or just basically following the RatsDAO rather than necessarily taking a step back and making their own decisions. Just a couple other things that I want to bring up here. Disco Solaris has had a huge increase of volume this month. It had bottomed out about a 65 to 70 ADA floor, and in the past week, it really rose all the way to about 120, or I believe it's actually more like 130. Let's just take a look here. Yes, 120. So these have been blowing up a lot recently. I think people really like the art, and the art does stand out. They have a ton of layers, and I think what happened is they had just such a shit show of a drop, which wasn't even their fault, guys. Like, it was really NFT payment maker that they used to basically mint these. They basically just had a problem with their captchas. Now, I think that these could potentially keep going up. My only thing with this project is that I don't know how much more hype is going to come in the future. I know that they had brought up this whole Neo Miami thing, but the whole thing with Neo Miami is it's more like a storytelling thing similar to ADA Ninjas, and that hasn't really been bringing a lot of hype to the ADA Ninjas community. I think that's going to strengthen this community, and you could see more people hold long term, and I know that they're coming out with some mini games and stuff, but I'd really like to see something major coming out. Like, I know they had brought up the metaverse, and they didn't want to like be like everyone else claiming that they're going to do this metaverse stuff, and that's why they said it was going to be more like a story. But I need to see a little bit more something before I go into it right now. Now, if we do have some sort of pullback again, maybe I'll buy in. I really should have bought in about 60, 65 ADA, but right now I'm just kind of taking a step back from these guys and watching them. I do think the art looks good and it stands out, but you know, art only goes so far. We can talk about art all day and I can show you zombie hunters and how amazing they look, but the truth is they're pretty much at their mint price or about 60 ADA, right? So art isn't doing it anymore. You really need to see some other stuff. So I'll be keeping a major eye on this one and just seeing what they're doing. The two last projects I wanted to bring up here is RatsDAO and CardanoVillage. Now, I just made an entire video about RatsDAO going over how exactly it works. I would definitely check out that video because I think I really go into good detail about how DAOs work and my opinions on them. Now, RatsDAO had gone from 150 ADA to 300 ADA within this past week, which is absolutely ridiculous. They did a double up. And the whole reason this happened is because they're launching their RAT token that actually has a lot of significance. So they did their snapshot on Friday, which was yesterday, and I believe that you're actually going to get your tokens on the 21st or on Monday. Now, I personally think that these, in my opinion, are going to have a pullback. I think there was a lot of hype with people trying to buy these in order to get that airdrop. And I think on Monday, once people actually see the tokens in their account, they might sell some of their rats. Because in a sense, and if you watch the video, they devalued their rats as far as a short term goes, just because the rat token itself is going to have a lot more significance than these CNFTs. These CNFTs, these actual rats, are only really valuable if you are going to hold this for a long time and hopefully get a lot of staking rewards from them. But the whole thing with the staking rewards is that they haven't really announced how many tokens you're going to get from this. All they said is that 45% is going to go to staking rewards to these 10,000 rats. So it'll be interesting to see how many rat tokens you're actually getting from this. And it's really going to depend on if you're getting those rat tokens over a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you know, whatever the case is. I actually do like these rats, and I think I might buy one as a long-term investment if we get a pullback. We could see a pullback all the way down to 200 ADA range or any anywhere from 150 to 200 ADA range. The reason is because we literally doubled in price from 150 this week just because of this rat token airdrop. So we got to think that once people actually get their rat token, that these might go down a little bit. Maybe it won't go all the way back to that 150 range that they were at, but maybe they go back down to 200, and maybe at that point it will be a good price to get in. The last drop that I want to go over was CardanoVillage. So CardanoVillage is going for about 83 ADA right now for their land. They had land for about 58 ADA. Now what's funny is if you follow my Twitter, I actually called out the floor of CardanoVillage at 88 ADA. So when they had because I had calculated it, right? Because in the pre-sale, they had a bunch of land, but then they had about 60-70% more land that they were going to add after the public sale. So when you did the math, we were going to be at this 88, 80 ADA price range. So I think right now this could potentially be the floor. It could go down a little bit more, but I think as a long-term investment that picking these up at 80 ADA is pretty smart. I actually had sold a few of these at 150, 160 ADA right before a bunch of people got it, because I think a lot of people missed out on this drop, and then they're like, oh crap, let me buy, and they were selling for like 150, 160, which was double this. So I was able to unload a few of these. I wasn't able to unload it on my challenge wallet because everything is so congested, and literally the transactions wouldn't go through, and I was kind of annoyed because like I was like, dude, I know I need to sell this right now and I can't sell it. And that's one of the frustrating things with CNFTs, but hopefully in the future, you know, when they scale stuff up, it won't be as much of a problem. But I think that this 88 or range is probably pretty good. I think a lot of people are starting to pick up on this project, and I think that this land as a long-term investment will probably go up pretty well. I know that they just announced that they're going to start working on their Romaine season 2, houses and land, that whole section of the map. There's going to be 5 total sections of the map. So there might be a situation where if you own this land, now all of a sudden you get benefits to that next pre-sale. And for example, guys, like the benefit for this pre-sale is that if you owned one of these houses, and I actually owned, oh my gosh, I'm not going to scroll down forever, but basically if you owned one of the houses, I had owned 5, you were able to get these pieces of land for only 8.5 ADA, which is a 10x and was a 20x when I was actually able to sell some of these guys. So I think owning this land now when the hype is lower probably isn't a bad idea, just because you're probably going to get into the next season at a good price and make some money off of that. The last thing I want to show you guys here is actually just the overall volume going into the NFT space. So we've been averaging about 1.6 million ADA in volume every single day. This is the past 30 days. It's been anywhere as low as 900,000 ADA, and we can't count today because today just started, to 1.65 million ADA. We had a 2.2 million ADA day. But as you see here, guys, this is actually a lot of volume that has been going into this. And I had brought this up in a previous video that before January of this month, when people were really starting to get into Sunday swap and different things like that, we were only sitting at about a 500,000 ADA range in this market. So it's crazy to see that we've been averaging about 3 times that just in the past 2 months. So in December, we were at that 500,000 ADA range, and now 2 months later in February, we're now averaging about 1.5 to 1.6 million ADA. So this is just another reason why I'm so bullish on CNFTs. I really think in the future that this 1.5 million ADA, maybe by the end of the year, is 10 million ADA per day, maybe 20 million ADA per day. And that increase in volume is obviously just going to bring up the prices of all of these different NFTs I showed you guys. It's important to find these high quality blue chip projects, or just projects that I've listed or other people have talked about, because in the future, if those projects are around and they're reliable and dependable and constantly adding stuff, and the hype is there and the relevancy and the establishedness, then those are undoubtedly going to go up when we just get a much larger influx of volume, especially when things just get cleaned up as far as congestion goes. Before I wrap this up, I want to make this clear to everybody that's watching this first one and is going to watch future ones. Numero uno. I have Adelie penguins behind me on a green screen, and I have random crap on my green screen all the time. Realize that I am not Jesus himself. I'm not always going to be right, and there are going to be plenty of times I'm wrong. I am simply one voice that you guys should hear. So for example, maybe you listen to 15 different people and then you make your opinion on that. And one of the big things that I do in this channel is teach you guys what I'm doing so you guys can do it yourself. Realize that I can be wrong, and that you need to be able to make decisions on your own, and that the price predictions that I'm saying are not guaranteed, right? Like, this is just my opinion. The second thing I want to bring up is that I'm always going to be honest with you guys. So unfortunately, a lot of YouTubers out there, content providers, and all these people in the crypto space are just pump. No one wants to shit on stuff. Like, and I think the reason is because when you shit on stuff, people are like, oh, I'm unsubscribing. I lost respect for you. How dare you say this? How dare I say what? Like, at the end of the day, I am going to be honest on here, and if you watch my videos, you'll know that I'm going to be 100% honest, and that I get a lot of hate for that honesty. There are people that really love their projects, and they don't want to hear the hard truth. They don't want to hear that stuff goes down. But if you're one of those people, open up your mind a little bit. Things don't just go up, things go down. When things go down, that's when the opportunity arises, right? Like this Boss Cat stuff, I called that Boss Cats were going to drop, and they dropped. And you know what I said in all my videos? I'm going to be buying it. You know, it's not like I'm hating on something and saying, oh, it's going to go down. I'm just using logic and different information I know and different pieces of news to help me make a better informed decision on buying and selling these different NFTs. I believe in Boss Cat long term. I think that stuff is going to go up a lot. But I am also going to be the type of person that's going to tell you that it's going to go down a lot. And when it does go down a lot, I'm going to be telling you, hey, this is a good opportunity. And same thing with Pavia. If you watch a lot of my metaverse videos, I said, don't buy Pavia yet. Don't buy Pavia yet. They're going to release 40,000 more plots of land. This is a good project, but don't buy it yet. What happened with Pavia? It went from 900 ADA to 360, 370 ADA right now. But I think that's when we're supposed to buy it, right? So things go up and things go down, but we have to be honest with ourselves, and we can't be too emotional, and we can't get mad when I say things like this, because I'm one of the few people that is actually trying to be honest with you guys and not tell you that things are just going to go up. Like, it's crazy to think that. It's unreasonable. And it's so weird how this happens in the crypto space, where it's like, if you have to say bullish news, you only have to say positive stuff. Like, screw that, dude. Like, things are going to move in ways that we don't like them sometimes. But that's why we think about things and we make educated decisions. But sorry about my rant there. It's just, I've noticed this so much in this industry, and it's honestly very frustrating. Things don't just go up, guys. Things will go down, things will have pullbacks, and that's when we're going to buy stuff. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, or if you learned something, or if you want me to make these videos every week, please give me a thumbs up. Once again, these are all just different predictions and estimates that I have. I could be totally wrong on a lot of stuff. But yeah, I hope you guys have an awesome day.